Hello and welcome to the second last West Ham transfer rumour show of the summer transfer window. The final one will be on Thursday morning. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up on what we could expect on deadline day around the London Stadium. And then Thursday night we will be live between 9 and 11 PM as we're seeing the window slamming shut. We're live every deadline day. We get a few guests involved as well, and also we get very interactive with the live chat. So if you're about on Thursday night between 9 and 11, please do pop back. But for now, we're going to take a little look at all the transfer rumours for incomings and outgoings at West Ham. Earlier on today, David Moyes did his press conference ahead of the Tottenham game, and he confirmed there could still, despite spending 180 million, be more arrivals at West Ham, but there could also be some players departing the Hammers before that deadline closes on Thursday evening. Let's take a look at them, and we're going to start with Craig Dawson. At the start of the summer transfer window, it was revealed he was keen on a move away from West Ham so that he could return north to where his family is. And since then, it's been revealed this week that Craig Dawson actually still resides in Manchester and commutes on a regular basis to East London for his training and matches, which I just find mental, if I'm honest with you. We signed him from Watford. Had we signed him from, I don't know, Burnley, and he decided to keep his family up there and do the commuting on a regular basis, I would understand it a lot more. But we didn't. We signed him from Watford. How long has he been doing this for then? Years. And it just seems a bit wild. And part of me thinks fair play to him, because it can't be easy whatsoever. And I've sort of flip-flopped a little bit on the fact that he still lives in Manchester as revealed by ex-West Ham employee. Because part of me thinks, well, fair enough. If his family's settled there, he's got the home he wants, why should he move? And then the other part of me thinks, well, why haven't you moved though? Because if this was a normal job, the expectancy when you take that new role hundreds of miles away, the expectancy would surely be that you move so that you're in commuting distance of your new location. So why should it be any different from a footballer? But then I flipped back again and thought, well, again, why should he move? If he's able to turn up at training as and when he's required, he's there for everything that's asked of him from David Moyes on time and he's present, and then what's the issue? But it must take its toll on him. So this would make sense as to why he's keen to move to a club closer to his family in Manchester. This has alerted a couple of Premier League clubs, namely Aston Villa and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm expecting Craig Dawson to leave in the next couple of days. He's near a return to fitness anyway, so I think a medical in the next couple of days shouldn't really be a problem. We've obviously been missing him for the last month or so. He's only just coming back and it looks like he's off again. It would put a bit of a pressure on us because we would then need to get in another centre-back, I think, given that Vestergaard's out till the World Cup. But when those centre-backs are all fit, the ones we currently have, Aguerd, Ogbonna, Zuma, Kerr and Dawson, and then you try and work out where Dawson would be in the pecking order, I would suggest it's neither fifth than first anyway. Everybody will have a different opinion, and I've never been Craig Dawson's biggest fan. It's no secret. When we signed him, I was a bit disappointed actually, because I thought it was a bit of lack of ambition, and I was aware he was getting brought in for initially squad depth. That's what he was. He was a loan signing just to give us cover in the centre back area. But there was still a bit of me thought it's low cost, fair enough, but a bit disappointing. I have been thoroughly impressed by him since he's got into the team, and he's stayed in the team on merit as well. There's been some magnificent individual performances from him, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this season I've missed him. Not just the defensive side of him, but his distribution from the back. I never thought I would say that about Craig Dawson. But last season we were being treated to some special 40-yard passes over the back of the fullback for our wingers to run onto from Craig Dawson. I've missed it a bit this season. I think that's more of a reflection on the distribution of the centre-backs today rather than Craig Dawson. But for $2 million, he's been a wonderful, wonderful signing for us. Outlived his fee. West Ham, I've got their hand forced a little bit here. He's in the final year of his contract, so he can go on a free next summer. Now, if he stays and goes on a free next summer, I'm not too bothered, because I'd imagine his fee, even if we do sell him in this window, would be quite low. I think we'd be looking between, I don't know, 3-4 million or something. I don't know. I find it difficult to value players these days. I think we'd get a few million and nothing more for him. And for that, I think we'd almost be better off just keeping him and let him leave next summer. But at the same time, if he has a desire to leave because of the family reasonings, I'm not against that. I don't mind players wanting to leave because of their family life. I always think family should take priority over your job, and I don't think footballers should be any different. They're still, they're humans at the end of the day. They're not robots. So if that's the reason he wishes to leave, then best of luck to him. Long term, I think we'd be looking to replace Craig Dawson anyway. I think he's better than I ever expected, and I think he's a good Premier League centre-back. And to some extent, I was going to use the argument, which is we're wanting to move in the direction that we are, and we're trying to buy players like Scamacca and Paquetá, then Craig Dawson is not really that level of player. But then again, he got into the Europa League team of the season last season, didn't he? So he performed in the Europa League competition, which is where we want to be, I'd imagine, next season. We want to be in that tournament again. So he can cut it at that level. So I was going to say he's not quite the level we're trying to get to. I think he is for West Ham under David Moyes. Maybe not for other managers, but for under Moyes he has been. So it'd be sad to see him go, but at the same time, for understandable reasons, and this is where I might get a bit of grief, I think he's easily replaceable. I think we've arguably already replaced him. Because like I said, when all those centre-backs are fit, he's probably pretty low in the pecking order. The problem is having them all fit and keeping them all fit, because that's the problem. Aguero's out till after the World Cup. Zuma's not quite right. Ogbona's not quite 100% yet. Kerr's settling in. So Dawson, ideally, we could have kept until the January transfer window, I'd imagine. But by the sounds of it, I'm expecting Dawson to depart. Probably to Aston Villa, actually, because they do need a centre-back. And best of luck to him. I hope it works out for him. I hope he gets the move he wants. But that would then put a little bit of pressure on West Ham to make sure they bring somebody in. And we're being linked to a couple of centre-backs on loan. But before we speak about them, forget about the West Ham team and the Aston Villa team. Have you got your Spitch team? Now, there's still time to get it in for tonight. But if you're watching this and the games have kicked off on Tuesday evening, don't worry. You can still enter your Spitch team for the midweek games. You can only then use players from Wednesday night and then the Thursday game as well. Now, the app's completely free to download, which you can do by clicking the link in the description below. But please do use that link so they know you've come from Ham's Chat. It's completely free to sign up, and there's plenty of free-to-play games, including the Hammers Chat Community League. Gonzo has unfortunately beaten me 2-1. Hopefully I can get revenge this week and make it 2-2. My favourite scoreline, isn't it? Hopefully I can make it 2-2. But failing that, I'm going to have my work cut out. But if you want to get involved so you can beat myself and Gonzo, please do. There's also cash prizes up for grabs, including in the free-to-play games as well. In the free classic to play game week this week, and you pick an 11 for this game week only, then for the weekend coming up you pick a complete different 11. No transfers, don't worry about stuff like that. You can get involved as and when. You're not being left behind because you're not joined in so far. It's done on a week by week basis. Much better. Weekly prizes up for grabs, but because there's cash prizes up for grabs, that means there's a gambling aspect to it, so you must be 18 plus to get the app downloaded. So, but please do get involved. Link in description, and let's see if you can beat myself and Gonzo. And I'll show you my team for the weekend in the Chelsea preview later on this week. Hopefully I'll have beaten Gonzo as well. Now, one player we're being linked to today is Jan Bednarek of Southampton, their Polish centre-back. He's deemed surplus to requirements at the minute after they've made a couple of investments in the centre-back area in the summer transfer window. He's somebody we're being linked to on a loan move. And like I said, I think a short-term loan would be quite shrewd by West Ham, given that Aguero's out. It would give us cover to see us through to January transfer window, and then we can reevaluate from there going forward. In regards to the player, I think he's okay. I think he's quite similar to what I thought about Dawson prior to Dawson arriving, which is not good enough, but I've since seen that it can work out. And I think he is what it is. We're trying to get in a centre-back that can give us cover, and that's all it is really. Somebody that can play as and when required. If we're short of centre-backs, we've got another Premier League experienced centre-back to bring in. I think that's what Bednarek is. It would be a low move. I wouldn't expect us to purchase him because I don't think he's good enough to secure a permanent transfer to us. There is competition for his signature though with the clubs that I've already mentioned. Again, Aston Villa strongly linked to Bednarek as well. And we're also being linked to his former teammate Vestergaard, who went to Leicester City. Funnily enough, went to Leicester City because they were short of centre-backs, and now we're trying to get him from Leicester because we're short of centre-backs. But again, another player. Listen, 3 seasons ago, I thought that Vestergaard was a really good centre-back. Both centre-backs really tall, really good in the air as well. But just not quite at the level I would like. If this was a transfer, we've been linked to these players as part of like permanent transfers or almost like restructuring the defence, if you like. I'd be against it, but we're not. And I think you have to take that context into consideration, which is why are we trying to get Bednarek and why are we trying to get Vestergaard? It's just to give us cover until our actual centre-backs are fully fit, and it's probably to allow Craig Dawson to leave if he wishes. So for that reason, I'm not against them as such because of what they are, but long term at West Ham, I wouldn't be keen on either centre-back at the club, if I'm being honest with you. Now moving on to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the Athletic have reported that we had an inquiry into the Manchester United right-back dismissed by the club. Now I watched Gonzo's video just before recording this one, and I agree with him on 1 or 2 points, but I disagree with him as well. Gonzo thinks he's surplus to requirements at Old Trafford. I don't think he is. I think Man United, apparently this is why they've also dismissed the inquiry from West Ham and Crystal Palace, because they need 2 right backs. They've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, and that's it. So if Wan-Bissaka goes, they need to get another right back in ASAP, and there's just not enough time. They don't believe they've got enough time to get a replacement in for Wan-Bissaka. They're not going to do Premier League clubs a favour. Nobody's going to be loaning Wan-Bissaka out. So it'll be a permanent transfer, and you're probably going to have to pay over the odds because of the inconvenience it is for Manchester United in order to go out and get a replacement ASAP. Would I like him at West Ham? I think West Ham's the right club for Wan-Bissaka, or a club like West Ham certainly is the right club for Wan-Bissaka. Part of me, removing my client in blue specs, I'd like to see him go back to Crystal Palace. I would. I think Vieira would be a good manager for him. I think Selhurst Park would be a good home for him. Go back to where it started, start again and get your career kick-started. Also, I think there's a vacancy for him to walk into there. I think out that Palace team, their glaring weakness is at right back. So I think that move is perfect for Wan-Bissaka. As for us, is he an upgrade on what we got? I mean, defensively, yes. I think he's a fantastic defensive defender. But offensively, I mean, Soufal's not really been hitting it at the minute, but Wan-Bissaka, he's not great going forward. I would be a bit meh with this transfer in all honesty. Not a bad player, a good Premier League right back. But I'd imagine he wouldn't come cheap. I don't think you're going to get a bargain for him. And I'm not as keen on this transfer. Gonzo seems to love the idea of Wan-Bissaka, but Gonzo's always loved Wan-Bissaka. He loved him at Palace. He's loved him at Old Trafford all this time. I thought he was brilliant at Selhurst Park as well, but he's just not quite cut it at Man United. And he's probably a victim of the high standards that they've got, and probably they've had quite a lot of failures in regards to transfers at that club, and I think he's just almost like a symbol of it, a reminder to the faithful of how poor their transfers have been over the years. And for that reason, probably gets a little bit too much criticism. But like I said, I wouldn't be against the transfer. I just don't necessarily think it would be good value for money for West Ham at this point. I think there's better right backs out there for the club, and I'd almost rather they take their time a little bit and target a better right back and go get one next summer, because Soufal ain't doing it so far this season, but it's only 4 games in. I'd like to give him a chance to get better, to improve this season. It would give Ben Johnson a chance as well to compete with Soufal at right back, and also Harrison Ashby, who we'll discuss in just a second. But in regards to Wan-Bissaka, I wouldn't be against it. But again, I'm not doing cartwheels for it, if I'm honest with you. I think it would be a better move for Wan-Bissaka than West Ham, if that makes sense. Now, moving on to Hans Vanaken. It's all gone quiet. It appears that we're not interested in him anymore. I feel a bit sorry for him, if I'm honest with you, because we went very public with our interest. He went very public with his desire to move to West Ham. So much so that the manager sat there saying he wants to go. The fans had a huge tifo banner out saying, please don't go. And, well, it looks like the fans are going to get what they want, but only because West Ham has said, we're all right now. We've got Pakatari and we don't need Hans Vanaken. But I do actually feel a bit sorry for him because he really wanted the move. And we've just pulled out. And I know we're saying it's because we're too far apart in valuation by a handful of million. And I just think if we really wanted him, I think we could get him. So maybe West Ham are just playing hardball and they're going to wait for a couple of days, because essentially we've unsettled the player to some extent now. We've given their player a desire to leave. He wants to leave the club and come to West Ham. And like I said, he's been very public about it as well. So puts their Club Brugge in an awkward position now where they've got a player that wants to leave, but the club trying to buy them ain't playing ball. So something's got to give. Either we do give up on him and we don't pursue the interest, or Club Brugge are going to have to lower their demands so that we do get him, and then therefore we'll get him at the valuation that we want him. Bit of an awkward one. I genuinely feel a little bit sorry for the player in this situation though, because he seems very, very keen to come to West Ham, and we've done the flirting with him, if you want, and then gets to the point he agrees, and you're like, no, it's all right, you're fine, thank you very much, we've got a better player now, thank you, but cheers anyway. So I feel a bit gutted for him. Being linked to Fofana of Lens as well. We saw him in pre-season when we played in France, a centre midfielder. I don't contain too much knowledge on the player or opinion. 27-year-old though, but I put the link to his transfer market profile in the description of this video. And if you know more about Fofana than I do, which anyone that's watched French football will do, please feel free to leave your comments in the opinion and in the comment section below. But in France, it's stated that Fofana won't be going to Rennes, and that West Ham are the club on the spot, whatever that means, in regards to pursuing him. And if Fofana does leave, they're expecting, the French side of things are expecting, that West Ham would be the front runners for his signature. Pablo Fornals has been linked to Barcelona. I'm not going to go into it too much. Gonzo's going to discuss it in tomorrow's video, so tune in to that to find out what he thinks. Oko-Flex has joined Swansea City on loan for the season. A really, really good transfer on the face of it, this one. It'd be interesting to see if he's good enough for the Championship, as Swansea are screaming out for something, anything at the minute. They play pretty football under Russell Martin, but the results are not very good at the moment. Oko-Flex has obviously tore up for our under-23s, probably too good for that league. Needed a loan move to get him tested, and he's off to Swansea City for the season. Be interested to see how he gets on, and fingers crossed he starts well down in Wales. Baptiste is another player expected to leave West Ham United before the window closes. It could be on loan or it could be a permanent transfer. It's understood that West Ham are a little bit disappointed at his lack of progress at the club over the last couple of seasons. He had a big reputation once upon a time, including for myself. I had high hopes for him and certainly looked like a really good ball-playing centre-back. When I've seen him briefly in pre-seasons gone by, he's looked like he's the one that could step up as well as Elise. Obviously Elise at Sunderland now. Baptiste looks like he could be following him out the door too. And that leads me on to Harrison Ashby, linked to Newcastle for 2.5 million. Now a lot's been made of the two players of Newcastle he followed in the last couple of days on Instagram. One being Kieran Trippier, a right back. So West Ham's right back Harrison Ashby followed Newcastle's right back Kieran Trippier, and also Elliot Anderson of Newcastle. Now Elliot Anderson is Harrison Ashby's teammate for Scotland, so I think that's important context there. I'd be disappointed if he goes, but again, the club, they might have their hand forced here. Newcastle do need a right back that's, I guess, younger. Someone like Harrison Ashby is perfect for Newcastle. Kraft is out for the season, so they're one down in the right back options. That nobody's going to come in and take Kieran Trippier's place at that club there. So they do need somebody that's just in reserve that can play as and when required. And this is the type of transfer I think Eddie Howe and Newcastle want to do. They went and got Dan Ainsworth from Brighton. We know what the Brighton model is all about in terms of transfer strategy. Buying young players that might not be ready today, but we're buying them for next season or the season after. Harrison Ashby fits that. So this is making sense. The link from Ashby to Newcastle makes a lot of sense, I think, if they're going to be following a similar model to what was in place at Brighton. In regards to the player, like I said, he's in the final year of his contract at West Ham United. His contract expires next summer. There will be no option. It was due to expire the summer just passed, but the club activated a one-year option that they had to extend it by 12 months. And it sounds like contract negotiations with Ashby aren't going too well at the minute. So the club's hand could be forced in this one should the interest from Newcastle be genuine. I'd be gutted if he left, because Moyes himself has said that's the one most ready for the closest to Premier League action out of our under-23s. We will have a vacancy at right back in a year or two's time. We're being linked to Wan-Bissaka for a reason. We inquired for a reason, which is it's becoming a bit of a weak area for us. So there is a route into the first team eventually for Harrison Ashby. So I'd be disappointed if he left. Looks good for the under-23s. When we've seen him in the first team, looks good. Very, very unlucky last season when it looked like he was getting into the team that had injuries to Johnson and Soufal, and then one of the games got postponed because of COVID. It's just really unfortunate for him. And then he was injured as well. He might have got a couple of first team games there, but the circumstances just didn't allow it to happen, unfortunately, for him. £2.5 million would be a small fee, but I mean a big fee for somebody that hasn't played much first team football. But it'd be a shame. It would be another nail. I say nail in the coffin. Another young player departing, and we do struggle with contract negotiations with the youngsters at the club. Now, I'm not talking about the players that we want to leave, i.e. Elise. We sold him. That's completely different. I'm not discussing that. I'm discussing Sonny Perkins. Ben Johnson is another young player that we're struggling. We couldn't agree a deal with him, so we activated a 2-year clause. We're almost still waiting for that contract to get sorted. Harrison Ashby, even Declan Rice, a few seasons ago, before he signed the contract he's on. I'm not talking about the ones he's rejecting today and this season, last season. The ones that he signed as a youngster, even they took a while as well. We've struggled to get those negotiations done too. So I think the club do struggle a little bit, and it is an awkward one because what is Harrison Ashby? Well, he's an under-23s player, yeah, but he's in the first team. He's training with the first team. So it is that awkward area where they probably deserve more pay than a youngster, but they probably don't deserve the first team pay yet, and there's a big gap in the middle. Wouldn't be good if we lost Ashby. I'd be disappointed if we lost him. So we'll wait and see on that one. So as it stands, the most likely departure at the minute would be Craig Dawson, and the most likely arrival at the minute would probably be a centre-back on loan. The club currently have 24 players they'll have to register for their Premier League squad, leaving one space. Now, we can sign more. It would mean not registering Vestergaard, and then we'd have to deal with that in January. So in theory, we could sign 2 more players. However, our European squad, we need 4 homegrown players from the academy of West Ham United. Currently, we've got Conor Coventry, Ben Johnson and Declan Rice, so we're missing one. So we can only register 24 players in our European squad because of that missing player. And we've already got 24 players. But again, we wouldn't have to register Aguerd. We can re-register him in January. So we sign one more, that's it done. Then in January, somebody's going to have to come out so Aguerd can go in. So the club is, with squads pretty much at its maximum size. We can sign one more player, I think. But then again, if someone leaves, we can sign 2, so on and so forth. We've got 9 homegrown for the Premier League at the minute. You only need 8, so we're fine if Dawson leaves and we sign Bednarek, for example. We're fine for homegrown. But we'd have 8 and you need 8. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to disappear now. But we've got tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's a Tottenham game, isn't it? So we'll be back tomorrow with our build-up show and our review, our watch-along and stuff. Then Thursday morning, Transfer Rumour show. Thursday night, deadline day, live. Enjoy this video. Drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel. Get involved in Spitch. And I'll catch you tomorrow.